Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at this week's official prices. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Alright, so getting started with Chaos prices this week. So we got a bunch of stuff coming out here. We're going to be giving prices in US dollars and also Canadian as well. So first off, getting started with the Chaos Codex. So we have $60 USD or $70 Canadian. And then we're also going to have the special edition version that's going to be available online only, direct from Games Workshop, and that will be priced at $100 USD. Same as always, no surprises here. You get that special cover, but the actual contents inside are just the same. All right, and then moving into the 3-box sets we have this week. So a lot of action going on here. So first we have the Veterans of the Long War box set, and unfortunately Games Workshop once again has raised the prices. So another price increase from Games Workshop after we saw them intentionally or unintentionally underproduce the Custodes and Orks at $210 per box, with about like $340 to $370 in value inside those roughly. Games Workshop now is offering about the same value with the 2 new Chaos box sets. Probably again going to be less popular because it's a single faction and Chaos is just not as popular as Custodes or Orks, but very likely going to have more production issues. So they went ahead and raised the prices up on these to $230. So it was $210 for the last few Battleforces with the same value inside, and now Games Workshop's charging $230 USD or $280 Canadian. So very unfortunate to see them basically underproducing things for whatever reason and then raising the prices knowing that people are going to pay it. It's definitely a very scummy move. But we'll do a little breakdown on the actual value inside of these. There is still a great discount over MSRP picking up these box sets, and you still will be able to get a hold of one if that's what you want to do. Should not be nearly as much of an issue as there was with the Orks and Custodes, but still, like always, these Battleforces are a great deal and they will sell out relatively quickly. So if you are after one in specific, I always recommend that you lock it down in advance. And then we had the second one, the Dread Talons. Again, $230 USD or $280 Canadian, same price for both of them. This one actually is a slightly better deal by MSRP. This one is up towards that $370 range. So again, a lot of value in this box set compared to MSRP, but unfortunately they did raise the price again, which is really just bad business because it really felt like Games Workshop was topping out their prices at least short term and was going to stop trying to exploit the customer. When we saw those box sets for the Custodes and Orks at $210, I was super excited. We saw the Dark Oath box at $200. It really felt like Games Workshop was kind of turning the corner. And then we see these boxes coming out at $230 with the same amount of value inside of them. And then also that pricing on the Dark Tide box was just absolutely insane at $110. So very clear that nothing has changed with Games Workshop. They are out here to squeeze every dime out of our pockets. All right, and then moving on from there, we have the Combat Patrol Chaos Space Marines. So the Hellbrute is out of the box. We lost another big model box. Quite a bit of value, but definitely not quite as good without the big centerpiece model. But $160 USD for the new Combat Patrol or $190. And definitely a nice box with a decent amount of savings. Obviously not as good as the Battleforce boxes though. All right, and then moving on from there, we have the Chaos Space Marine accessories. So first we have the data sheet cards. It's going to be $35 USD for the data sheet cards and $40 Canadian, right in line with what we've seen in the past. No surprises there. And then, of course, we have the Chaos Space Marine dice. You're going to get 16 dice in a set, and that is for $32 or $36 Canadian. So $2 a die. And these are pretty cool. I definitely like the look of them. The marble dice are real nice, the sharp edges, but obviously the dice boycott continues. All right, so that is it for this week's pricing, and I don't mean to be all negative, but I really was excited feeling like Games Workshop was going to stop at the price increases. I was super excited when I saw the Orks and Custodes boxes come out at $210 USD, the Dark Oath box at $200, and started to feel like Games Workshop was actually being reasonable and had at least like short-term capped out their price increases. So it really is a bummer to see them come back through and raising prices again. I'm very happy that they didn't raise the prices on the Combat Patrol. They put out a bunch of them recently, and I'm always hesitant to look at the prices expecting that they might sneak in another $5 or $10. So I'm definitely glad that they've shown some restraint there. But from a couple years ago when you could easily pick up one of the starter set boxes for $100, now getting into the hobby is costing you $160 just for your initial model set. It's definitely a pretty big increase. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP.
CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video.
And as far as the Battleforces, again, I absolutely love that there's so much value in these box sets. They're a great way for people to get started with either a new army or to expand out on top of the actual combat patrols. And I was really hoping that they were going to max out about that 200 price point and just kind of leave them there, because anything over 200 starts to get a little bit on the ridiculous side. And as annoying as the 3D printer community can be, the fact that you can buy like a nice resin printer for like $200, $300, $400 now really does start providing some actual options to do something different. And while I personally have been 3D printing for years, enjoy it, and like to use it as a supplemental like game aid, I can totally understand why people are breaking away from Games Workshop or from the hobby altogether and choosing some of the alternative options like 3D printing or other miniature brands. As annoying as Games Workshop is, I love Warhammer. I actually paint up my models. They're not just game pieces to me, so I'd rather have like the authentic thing. But I do totally understand why people are choosing some of these other options. I love these Battleforces, and there's a ton of value inside. I'm definitely going to be picking these up. I'm super excited about them. But it really is a low blow every time we see Games Workshop underproducing something because of their own lack of production, or intentionally because that drives up the prices because of the inverse relationship between supply and demand dynamics relative to price. So even if the customer base doesn't grow, if there's the same amount of people that want something and they make less of it, they're able to charge more. So less people get it, but they're able to still make the same amount of money because they're charging more per item. Also, lately we've seen them restricting volume to stores so that they can sell direct through their website, which we know they make a substantially larger margin. It also really hurts the stores that rely on these big releases to keep their doors open. So I really hate the practices of Games Workshop. It really does annoy me. I know a lot of other people lately have been upset about some of the retcons, about some of the practices. But the fact of the matter is, I've been doing the dice boycott now for a few years. I've brought up some of the actual changes that they've been making that's been hurting stores, or some of like the retconning and lore changes that people are now suddenly getting annoyed by. And nobody really seems to care. So the truth is, Warhammer is one of my biggest hobbies. Actually, it is my biggest hobby. I spend the most money on it and enjoy it the most out of all my other hobbies. So if nobody else really cares, if nobody else is willing to make any actual changes, then I guess everybody's okay with it. So while I can understand why it's difficult for people to justify the price increases or like the cost of the actual hobby and game, I know how much joy Warhammer brings me. And to tell you the truth, one day maybe I'll reach a price point where it's no longer worth it. But I don't see that anytime in the foreseeable future. So if I have to pay an extra like 5, 10, or even $20 for a Battleforce, I'm going to do it. So let me know what you think down below. What bothers you the most? Is it the dice and now you're going to join the boycott like I did? Is it when they jack up these Battleforces or the inconsistent pricing? Is it supply issues where they underproduce stuff? Is it them restricting supply to stores to where you can't get a hold of what you want without paying full price plus tax on Games Workshop's website? Or the fact that you personally own a store or are friends with store owners and you hate to see them restricted on supply because that hurts their bottom line? Or is it when they retcon lore, make changes that you don't like to be more quote-unquote inclusive? I'm honestly curious because I see people complaining in the comments and stuff like that. I definitely see people moving towards 3D printing or away from Games Workshop and into like other brands. But Games Workshop is doing better than ever. Warhammer is more popular than ever. I'm loving the game. I'm loving the models. So I really am curious. Let me know down below which of these things bothers you the most. Have you left Warhammer? Are you thinking about leaving Warhammer? Is it worth it to pay the few extra dollars? But it definitely annoys you. I always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products with free shipping in the USA. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm genuinely curious how you feel. And I'm out of here.